Tina Turner, the rock and roll powerhouse who turned heartbreak into anthem, still roars through the ages. Barbara Walters, the pioneering journalist who made the interview an art form, reminded us that truth can be both tender and relentless. Freddie Mercury, the flamboyant frontman who turned a stadium into a cathedral of sound, proved that charisma can eclipse even the fiercest doubts. David Crosby, the folk rock legend whose harmonies survived broken strings and fractured friendships, taught us resilience can echo long after the chords fade. Leslie Jordan, the beloved character actor whose laugh lit up every room, showed that authenticity can outshine even the brightest spotlights. Prince, the musical alchemist who turned Purple Rain into an empire of sound, reminded us that reinvention is the ultimate act of survival. When the cameras flash and the crowd chants, the image of Donald Trump is instantly recognizable, a bombastic businessman turned political firebrand, a brand that sells confidence as much as controversy. Yet behind that larger-than-life persona lies a network of pressures, contradictions, and personal costs that rarely make the headlines. The first crack in the glossy facade appeared not on a campaign trail, but in the boardrooms of Manhattan, where a young Trump learned that reputation was both an asset and a liability. He inherited a family real estate empire, but he also inherited a relentless drive to outshine his father's legacy. The public saw a mogul who could turn a skyscraper into a billboard for his name. Private sources recall the sleepless nights spent negotiating deals, the constant fear that a single misstep could erode billions of dollars of equity. That tension intensified when he stepped onto the set of The Apprentice in 2004. The show turned a boardroom into a stage, and Trump's catchphrase, "You're fired," became a cultural punchline. Viewers were drawn to the spectacle of a billionaire wielding authority with a smirk, but the production demanded a relentless performance. Behind the camera, Trump was under contract, under scrutiny, and under the weight of a new kind of audience, millions of households judging his every judgment. The transition from television star to presidential candidate in 2015 magnified the divide between image and reality. Trump's rally speeches were theatrical, each line calibrated to provoke, to dominate the news cycle, to cement his brand as an outsider who would drain the swamp. The narrative of a successful businessman who could fix Washington resonated with voters disillusioned by partisan gridlock. Yet the same narrative concealed a litany of financial disclosures, ongoing lawsuits, and a family business that was, by many accounts, teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. During the campaign, the constant barrage of media attention turned every offhand comment into a breaking story. The pressure to stay on message was relentless. Any deviation risked losing the media platform that had become his megaphone. Inside the campaign headquarters, staff described an environment where the line between strategy and spectacle blurred. Advisors were tasked not only with policy, but with managing a brand that demanded instant reaction. The cost of that duality was not just political, it was personal. Trump's children, long part of the brand, found themselves thrust into the spotlight, their private lives dissected in real time. Once in the Oval Office, the contrast between public bravado and behind-the-scenes decision-making grew starker. The presidency demanded compromise, quiet diplomacy, and the slow grind of bureaucracy processes that clashed with the television-trained impulse to dominate the narrative. The daily briefings, the classified briefings, the midnight calls from foreign leaders all required a level of restraint that often ran counter to the public's expectation of a decisive, unfiltered leader. The personal toll became evident in the way the presidency reshaped his daily rhythm. A man accustomed to weekend golf outings and high-stakes negotiations now faced a schedule of endless security protocols, constant surveillance, and a media corps that never left the premises. Family members, from Melania to his youngest son, navigated a world where every public appearance was dissected for hidden meaning. The constant scrutiny eroded the boundary between the man and the brand, leaving little room for private respite. Financially, the presidency was a paradox. While Trump claimed to have stepped away from his businesses, the reality was a complex web of trusts, licensing deals, and foreign interests that continued to generate revenue. The ethics investigations that followed highlighted the difficulty of separating personal profit from public office. Critics argued that the brand's profitability was undercut by the very political battles it inspired, while supporters pointed to the resilience of a name that could weather legal storms. The post-presidential period added another layer to the cost equation. Deprived of the official platform, Trump turned to social media and rallies to maintain relevance. Each tweet, each speech, was a reminder that the brand could not be retired. Yet the constant need to assert influence meant a relentless cycle of legal battles, fundraising drives, and media appearances. The energy required to sustain that momentum rivals the intensity of any campaign, but without the official trappings of office. Throughout this saga, the public image of Donald Trump remained a carefully curated product, a mix of confidence, controversy, and the promise of disruption. The private cost, however, is a mosaic of sleepless nights, strained family relationships, legal entanglements, and the perpetual need to defend a brand under fire. The gap between the billboard and the backstage is not merely an abstract concept. It is lived daily by a man whose name is both his greatest asset and his most vulnerable exposure. Today, as Trump continues to shape political discourse, the narrative of an unbreakable titan coexists with the reality of a person navigating an ever-tightening rope between fame and fatigue. The story is not finished, and the next chapter will be written wherever the tension between image and cost finds its next flashpoint. In the end, the legend of Donald Trump is a reminder that even the most iconic public figures carry private burdens that are amplified, not diminished, by the very spotlight that made them famous.